Hello and welcome. It's the Today in History show, and my name is Otonye Afiesi Nana. Right, time to roll back the blind into history. On this day in 1565, there was a wedding between cousins. Mary Queen of Scots, pictured here, and Henry Stuart, also pictured right here. So they were half cousins. Don't know if I mentioned that earlier, if I said cousins or half cousins. Anyway, the point is they were related, and that seems to happen a lot in the royal households of Europe. So, 1565, July 29th. Interestingly, there was another wedding today in more recent times. Stay till the end and all will be revealed. Okay, so let's move on to the year 1603. Bartholomew Gilbert is killed in Virginia by Indians during a search for the missing Roanoke colonists. Right, I did mention this in one of my videos, obviously previous videos. So go check it out. I will put a link to this video. You can click at the top right hand corner of your screen in the suggested. There will be a link at the top by the time I edit this video. Okay, so yeah, I did talk about missing colonists, or the missing, were they called pilgrims? Anyway, missing colonists who, there was this guy who came back 3 years later to look for them and they had vanished, and then there was an inscription on a tree, and the inscription was Croatoan, which the guy who led this group of people 3 years later assumed it was a message, some sort of cryptic message, if you like, saying that these guys had moved to Croatoan, which was an island located 50 miles away, if I remember correctly. I'm pretty much giving out everything from the previous video, but anyway, go check it out because there's a lot more about this expedition and other stories of that day. Okay, moving on. 1833, on this day, this man called William Wilberforce, pictured right here, self-explanatory. His name is also on the screen. Date of the year he was born till the year he died as well. He died on this day in 1833. He was a leading figure in the fight against slavery, especially the horrific transportation of people from Africa. Yeah, I would say good on you. It so happens that my maternal grandfather was named after William Wilberforce. So my maternal grandfather's name was Wilberforce. So obviously his parents named him after a good man, a man who saw the atrocities of slavery and decided to put a stop to it, decided to use his power, his influence to put a stop to it. So that was a good thing. I'm sure there were many others who tried to do something, many others who felt that they couldn't do anything, felt helpless, and of course there were many others who watched this atrocity taking place and felt that there was nothing wrong with it. The same thing is happening today. I'm not saying the same thing referring to slavery. Slavery is happening today as well, but that's not what I'm referring to. And this was called modern day slavery. But yeah, the point I'm trying to make is, there are things that go on in our workplace, in our society, in our country that the vast majority do not speak up to say or do anything about it. If you don't speak up when you see evil being perpetrated, then you are encouraging, by your silence, you are inadvertently encouraging evil or encouraging wrongdoing. So when you see something wrong, be brave enough to speak up, have the balls to speak up against wrongdoing. I did speak up against the burning of a 7-year-old some years ago. I shot a video. Just obviously, I was so outraged that I just, had to shoot this video. And to date, it's my most watched video. I knew it was going to go viral in my sense, because I'm a very small YouTuber at the moment. But I was so incensed, I was so enraged, and I didn't care how I looked. My hair was not even cut. I wasn't looking my best. But I went on camera, and I thought, this thing is getting out of hand. We cannot stand by and watch a 7-year-old being killed, and no one does anything about it. People were taking pictures, people were taking videos. I mean, it's insane. It's insane, So, anyway, kudos to William Wilberforce for standing up for what is right. And today, at least, slavery has been outlawed in virtually almost every country in the world. I think the whole of the Western world has outlawed slavery. Doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. It still happens. It shouldn't be happening, but it still does happen. Anyway, let's move on now to the next important event on this day, 1870. I also touched on George Dixon, Canadian boxer, African American, this time from Canada. So American, when I say American, I'm referring to the Americas. So Canada, the United States, Mexico, Argentina, Brazil, all these countries are part of the Americas, but today when people say I'm American, people tend to make the connection to just the United States. So anyway, George Dixon, was Canadian, North American, and he was the first black world boxing champion in any weight class. He was born on this day in 1870. I also talked about him as well in the previous video. Go check it out. I probably won't put a link on that one because I'm not sure how to put more than one link on this video. So I have promised that I'll put a link for the first one, which is about the colonists, the missing Roanoke colonists. So that definitely is going to come up on this video. Right. So that is George Dixon pictured here. If I didn't mention that earlier, it's self-explanatory. We'll move on to the year 1907, so 37 years later. Sir Robert Baden-Powell, pictured here, formed the Boy Scout movement on this day. I was a scout growing up in Nigeria, so I know that what he did was very useful. The Boy Scouts are like a paramilitary group. Don't know if it's right to say they're like a paramilitary group. So you go camping, you know how to tie a reef knot, and basically you can live outdoors and survive. So you're taught life skills, which I think is very important. I don't know how is the word pervasive or how common the Boy Scout movement is today, especially in the United Kingdom, seeing that it was founded by a British man. But growing up in Nigeria, it was quite common, So we had the Boy Scouts and Red Cross and Girl Guides, which, it did instill a lot of skills in us as children. So, yeah, that is Baden-Powell, who formed the Boy Scout movement on this day in 1907. We move on to the year 1956. Vivian Alexander Anderson, born in Nottingham, England. So who was he? Interestingly, yeah, it's a he, believe it or not. So that's Viv for short. Because I guess most people would assume that Vivian is a woman's name. I do know that Vivian, so it's Vivienne, sounds French. That sounds like the female version of Vivian, but Vivian has, over the years, become more associated with women, I guess. So his full name is Vivian Alexander Anderson, and he was born in Nottingham, England. The first black football player to represent England in a full international match. So that's him pictured here. He was born in 1956. On this day, 2 years later, in 1958, NASA was created. So NASA is the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. It's a United States space agency, and it was created to coordinate America's activities in space on this day in 1958. Now I'm going to read a bit about NASA because it's quite interesting how this was a response to the Russians sending a man into orbit a few years prior. So NASA has been since sponsored space expeditions. So since 1958, they've sponsored space expeditions, both human and mechanical. So not just sending humans into space and onto the moon, but mechanical meaning spaceships and space probes. And there's a name I'm looking for, which is at the tip of my tongue, but I can't get out at the moment. But let me carry on with this reading. It has also satellites, yeah, that's the one, launched numerous Earth-orbiting satellites that have been instrumental in everything from weather forecasting to navigation to global communications. So space, anything to do with space is quite important, you know. Most people at the time would have thought, or did think it was a waste of money. What are you going out there to do? We can't live there, so what's the point? But space travel or finding out what's out there is important. So NASA was created, now this is a bit I was going to share with you. It was created in response to the Soviet Union's October 4th, 1957 launch of its first satellite, Sputnik I. The 183-pound basketball-sized satellite orbited the Earth in 98 minutes. The Sputnik launch caught Americans by surprise and sparked fears that the Soviets might also be capable of sending missiles with nuclear weapons from Europe to America. The United States prided itself on being at the forefront of technology and, embarrassed, immediately began developing a response, signaling the start of the U.S. Soviet space race. So basically, because the US had competition from Russia, that propelled them, or that pushed them into the space race, if you like, pushed them to setting NASA up, and eventually the first country to land a man in moon. So competition is good. Competition is good. In this case, it turned out well. It's been for the benefit of mankind in the end. Okay, so 1973 on this day, the singer Wanya Jermaine Morris was born. He is best known as a member of the R&B group Boyz II Men. So R&B simply means rhythm and blues. So songs like I make love to you like you want me to, and oh God, give me a reason, I'm down on bended knee. So, and the Mama song as well. Mama, you know how much I love you. Something like that. I'll stop there before I embarrass myself if I haven't done already. 1981, on this day, nearly 1 billion television viewers. Now, this is what I had alluded to at the beginning. I didn't allude to it, did I? I did mention that there was another wedding on this day. Yeah, so I'll carry on. Nearly 1 billion television viewers in 74 countries tune in to witness the marriage of Prince Charles to the British throne. Oh, that's 1 year. I beg your pardon. Should have shown this picture earlier. Got carried away with singing. So let's go back to, let's head on to Prince Charles and his ex-late wife. So I'll start again. So nearly 1 billion television viewers in 74 countries tune in to witness the marriage of Prince Charles, heir to the British throne, to Lady Diana Spencer, a young English school teacher. Married in a grand ceremony at St. Paul's Cathedral in the presence of 2,650 guests, the couple's romance was for the moment the envy of the world. So that's Prince Charles and Lady Diana Spencer, who were married on this day in 1981. Yeah, my own mother, my birth mother, happened to be in the United Kingdom and watched this on TV on this day. Yeah, it was a beautiful summer's day. There were millions watching in the UK and nearly 1 billion from around the world. And as you all know, 99.9% of you watching this would know that this marriage ended in divorce, and eventually Diana got killed in a motor accident in 1997. Most of us know exactly where we were when we heard the news of her passing. Yeah, so the thing about life is that, you learn that no condition is permanent. This couple were in love. Diana claims Charles didn't love her. But anyway, it is what it is. They have 2 children and grandchildren now. More to come. Charles is now an old man. Thankfully, his mom and dad are still alive, which is amazing. Not many people have their parents alive at the age that he is at. So anyway, he's now with Camilla, as you might well know. Wish them the best, wish his children the best as well. Those who she left behind, there are going to be millions of people around the world thinking about Diana today and remembering her smile and her kind-heartedness, especially for the less privileged. Anyway, let's now move on to the final newsworthy event for this day. And it was in the year 2005. This planet, it's called Eris, was discovered. The announcement was made on this day. Not that the discovery was made on this day, the announcement was made. So the dwarf planet Eris, leading International Astronomical Union to clarify the definition of a planet. So the definition of a planet was clarified as well. So this is called a dwarf planet, and it was announced on this day. Its discovery was announced today in 2005. On that note, folks, we end today's edition of Today in History. My name once more, Sotonye Efiesimama. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video. That would also help the Google or the YouTube algorithm. Also, consider subscribing so that you receive updates of my video uploads. Stay safe, guys, and I shall see you tomorrow, July 30th, for Today in History. Bye-bye.